Thank you. Thank you. And so again, happy Mother's Day. Here we are. It's one of my favorite days of the year, and part of it is just that it's spring, that it's a glorious moment, and you know, there's something about joining the ranks of motherhood when you get to celebrate Mother's Day. And I was really excited about that when I first got to have my first Mother's Day. It was a really important moment, and I started to wake up to the path of the mother, let's call it that, and what that's like. And we'll get into that as we go along. But it's a joyful day, and today we're honoring and celebrating all the mothers. And so not only the moms who have given birth, but I want to include everyone, right? So we're going to include the mothers who have given their nurturing and care to children around you. Maybe you didn't give birth to someone, but maybe you're a teacher, or you've got a counselor, or maybe you've got some neighbors or some nieces and nephews that you have cared for, we're celebrating you today on Mother's Day. Maybe you're one of those mamas who's got fur babies, right? Mamas of fur babies, let me tell you, mamas of fur babies are really intense mamas. They're really good mamas. So we're celebrating the mamas with the fur babies today too. And I'm also honoring all the men who have stepped into the role of father and mother, because there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them around me. I want to honor you too. They're the ones who actually know what Pinterest is. Yeah, they're the ones who know how to pack an interesting and creative lunch for their kids for school. You know, they're the ones who read cookbooks before going to bed instead of, and so they can play Minecraft and cook. Those are those dads. So we honor you too, because you're dads and mothers. I found some interesting quotes about mothers. I thought I'd share a few. Some of these I love. Rumi said, "We're born of love. Love is our mother." William Makepeace Thackeray said, "Mother is the name for God and the lips and hearts of little children." My favorite author, Unknown, said, "Life doesn't come with a manual, it comes with a mother." Right? Yeah. And then again, my favorite author, Unknown, said, "If at first you don't succeed, try doing it the way your mom told you to do it in the first place." Oliver Wendell Holmes said, "Youth fades, love droops, the leaves of friendships fall. A mother's secret hope outlives them all." And then one of my favorites is Abraham Lincoln said, "All that I am or hope to be, I owe to my angel mother." And so, you know, there's all sorts of relationships. We're going to get into this. It's a little bit complicated sometimes, our relationships with our mothers. But this day is about the love and beauty of God as it is made manifest in the process of giving birth and raising life. All right, so my talk today is Mom is made of miracles, right? And if at the core foundation, if the only thing we talk about today is the fact that your mother gave birth to you, it's a miracle, right? It's a miracle. That is a miracle. And if your mom, you know, I know they're complex and we all have different kinds of moms because they're human, right? They're not all sitcom TV moms. We didn't all have that. For those of you who did, just be grateful and call her, you know. And for those of you who didn't have the sitcom mom, give a blessing to her in this moment because she gave birth to you. And if that's the only thing that they did, that's a miracle, you know. Whenever I talk to someone in my passing, mostly it's in my coffee shop ministry that I do, because that's kind of my second office is my coffee shop in town, and I'm a social person, so I speak to people all the time. And when I start talking to people, and it inevitably ends up coming around to those things that are spiritual, and every once in a while I'll get a doubter, you know, someone who's like, "Oh yeah, all that spiritual hooey." And all I have to do is talk about the fact that they were they weren't here, and then they were, and their mother gave birth to them. So life is a mystery, and there's something else beyond that, and they have to concede the point, right? And I say, okay, that's the spiritual. That's what I'm talking about. That mystery, that process, that power, that thing, you know, it's a miracle. It's spiritual, and inevitably I win the point, right? You know, they have to concede it to me. But that's the thing. And the one that works, that conversation works so well, was my dad. When my dad was talking to me, when I was stepping into becoming spiritual, and he was he was a good Greek man, like he believed what he was told to believe, you know? And even so, when we would have those conversations when I was talking about the Spirit, because when I first studied, all I wanted to do was talk about it, right? And all I wanted to do was tell everybody how they were wrong, and I was right. I'm not like that anymore, really. The truth is now they pay me to do that, so yeah, that's how it works now. But my dad was really like, he's like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. And I remember saying to him, I remember where I was and sitting in the chair that I was sitting in, looking at him sitting in the recliner chair he was sitting in, all back watching SVU or whatever the silly shows he used to watch was. And I remember saying, Dad, think about it for a second. You were somewhere, but not here, and then you were here. And you came through your mother's body. There was a sperm, there was an egg. Sorry, I'm doing birds and bees today. There's a sperm and an egg, and then you came out of that. How is there not a God? You know, and he's like, you know what, Kathy? Because that's what he called me. You know what, Kathy? I think you're right. I can see that, you know. And I was, yes, I win, right? So because life is miraculous, right? Life is miraculous. The fact that we are here is a miracle. We are sitting here on this huge ball spinning through space, and it sustains us and supports us. We can go to the miraculous in any 1 minute if we choose to, if we remember it. And so any time you connect to that power of creating life, of sustaining and nurturing it and bringing it forth, you're talking about a miracle. We're miracles. Mothers are miracles. Women are miracles. Everybody's a miracle, by the way. Father's Day is coming up next month. Don't worry, guys. I got your back. Right? Okay. But it's not the only miraculous thing about mothers. Right? So mothers have this wild toolbox of support that they carry around within them, right? And the first thing I'm going to talk about is a mother's intuition. Moms just know, right? We talk about them having eyes in the back of their head, but there's no way that they could know, but they just know, right? And so we'll be coming home, having done something we're not supposed to do, not acting any different. I'm not acting any different, I'm just me. And walking into the kitchen, and my mom can give me the look, and she just knows. And I've been practicing the look. I'm not so good at it yet. It's like this. I'm trying to wait. Emily's only 10. I got a couple of years yet, but she's, you know. And I don't know if I'm there yet. But you know that look, right? You know the look that you get, because moms just know. For some reason, they know. They know when you step out of line. They know when something's going on. They know when you're upset and you're pretending to be okay. Mom's intuition and mom's knowing is part of their toolbox, and it's a miracle. They also just know how to do stuff. They know how to do stuff. If you want to figure out, and I don't know, it's anything from I don't know, laundry to cooking to fixing things to how to order, special order weird things that you wouldn't know you need. You call mom, right? When I don't know how to do something still, it's like my mom. I have that famous story of my first Thanksgiving when I had Thanksgiving for 20 people and I didn't know how to make gravy. And they were all watching me, and all I wanted to do was get my mom on the phone, and I was leaning down behind my cupboard on the phone crying, Mom, I don't know how to make gravy, and they're watching me and they're waiting, you know, but Mom knows how to do it. Right? Now I need to know how to do it because someone's going to ask me at some point, right? Moms just know. Now I also, as a mother, know that there are times when I'm fudging that now. Like I pretend that I know what I'm doing, and I think half of it with moms is just pure dumb luck. That we say this is the way, and then it works, and then that's how we get our special powers. You know, I think that's part of it. But also moms have a special guidance and wisdom that just makes sense to us. Mom has a special way of being, and even when we have a challenging or a difficult relationship with them, sometimes you just need mom. Sometimes you just need mom. I have a friend he was 30. I'll never forget this. He was 30 and he went through a breakup, and I was trying to sit with him and counsel with him and talk to him about it, and he just was, his heart had gotten smashed and stomped on, and he was just in that really rough moment, and he was holding it so he was trying to hold it in so much, and he just couldn't, and finally it all came bursting out, and it's like, I just want to sit on my mom's lap, you know. And in that moment I tried not to chuckle because it was very sweet, but I could understand it, right? That he really just needed that. Like there's some comfort and some peace because our mothers are custom made for us. So, and that's not easy to handle sometimes, because not all of us did have Claire Brady or Claire Huxtable for a mom, right? It's not easy, and it's a tricky subject. But I can assure you, and just trust me in this, because we're going to get through it to that place, please trust me in knowing that it was the perfect mother for you to come through. It was the perfect mother for you to come through, because you got what you needed to become who you were going to become. And it may have been difficult, and it may have been challenging, and she may have been human, because she's human. Our mothers are human. And yet, it's important for us to realize that there's something that we got out of that experience, of that relationship. And like I said at the beginning, at the least, it's that you were born, because you were inevitable and necessary to this life. You are inevitable and necessary to this life. And so who you are and how you came in and what this experience of life has been and what your relationship with your mother has been there for you to realize who you are in relationship to her. And so of course we want to honor our mothers, and of course we want to be the best mother we can be. And I'm going to remind you, we're all human. We are all human, and I believe we're doing the best that we can do. I believe that all of them did the best that they could do with what they had in the moment. And they made their choices, and sometimes it was supportive, and sometimes it may have been challenging, but it was there for your goodness and for your well-being. So there's two things that I want to speak to about this when we struggle on this holiday, because these are great holidays and they're wonderful, but I'll tell you, there's a lot of people who walk around with some pain in their hearts over it. There are some people who have a challenging time with it, and as a youth director for years of a big youth program, I know that there's a lot of kids who have a really tough time. There are a lot of kids who walk around whose mothers have passed early on, and it's just painful. There are some children, both Mother's Day and Father's Day is a tricky one. It's a challenging one. And so I always try to remind us that there's a divine component beyond this. There's a divine component of the divine feminine, of the archetype of mother that is there because it's a quality of God. And if God is with us, then that's with us, no matter what. Whether it was manifest in the woman who gave birth to you or not. There is nurturing and love there for you. And so there's two things I encourage us to do when we hit those rough moments, right? One of them is this. One of them is to acknowledge how you feel. It's okay. You get to feel what you feel about it. Yes, we can give gratitude that she gave birth to you. But if it was a difficult, challenging situation and you're frustrated, or you wish it was different, or you're angry over things that happened, or you're disappointed, or you're sad, whatever it is, you want to acknowledge it, because when we don't, we repress it, and that's the stuff that becomes illness, right? When we pretend that we feel differently than we feel, that's when it manifests in our physical bodies as illness, and I'm so over that for all of us. Not just myself, but for all of us. Let's clear it. So you have to acknowledge and say, you know what, I don't like it. It wasn't what I thought I wanted. That relationship wasn't what I thought I needed. It wasn't what I thought I wanted, It didn't help me. It hurt me. And so when you can acknowledge that, what happens is that you just naturally begin to broaden your perspective. Because you can start to look elsewhere and see, but you know what? I had that neighbor that I could always go to and cry on her shoulder. Or I had that teacher that really inspired me and said, loved me. And I knew that I was okay no matter what. Or I have an aunt, or I have a cousin, or there's somebody. There's nurturing and love there for you. And sometimes it just takes realizing that it was there all along. But we didn't see it because we were too busy looking at what we weren't getting from the place where we thought we needed to get it. And so this is the process, is to open our eyes and realize that love, nurturing, the divine feminine is alive as us, as all of us. And for my male friends in the room, this is for you too. We have come through a period of time where we have denied the feminine. where we are getting to the point where we are beginning to see the results of what happens when we deny the feminine. I loved that reading from Reverend Michael. I loved that original idea of what Mother's Day was supposed to be. You know, a bunch of years ago, and I think I may have told this story before, so I apologize, but a bunch of years ago I was serving in a committee for religious science in the ministerial training. And I was on a committee with all these bigwigs, and here I was like a newbie. I was like 30 years old, bright-eyed, huge hair, really young, silly girl with Dr. Arthur Chang, Dr. Michael Beckwith, Kathy Hearn, I mean all of the bigwigs, and Roger Teal, Nirvana Gale, and me, which is fun, right? So let's just, if you don't know who these are like the giants in the organization and me, someone who was in the teaching for 2 years at that time. And there I am. We were having a meeting on the day that we, back in 2003, when we went to war, for the first day that the bombs started falling in Afghanistan, after 9/11. And so here I am. We had been in a meeting all day, and as we were in the process of going to dinner, we hear that we're at war. And so I'm sitting there at dinner with Michael Beckwith. What am I supposed to do with that? You know, it's like, okay. And so Michael was like slumped on the table. I'll never forget, he was across from me, and he was slumped on the table. And he said to me, he looks at me, right? And he says, when is it gonna stop, Katherine? And I was like, I don't know. I hope really quickly. I don't know when it's not gonna stop. What are you talking about? And he said, war is not going to stop until you women stop sending your sons away. You need to stop sending your sons to war. When women stop sending their sons to war, then we'll have peace. And I love that that was the message of the original proclamation for Mother's Day. It was not that we get flowers, and don't get me wrong, I love the flowers. I got flowers today, thank you, I love them. And I love the candy, and I love the foot rubs, and I love the brunch, and I can't wait for brunch, and I'm going to finish up so you guys can all get there. But think about what the real message is. It's we've got power. We create life. Let's hold on to life. We as women are being called to honor the truth of who we are and step into that power of creation. There's something that happens, you know, I think it's really fun for me to watch women unfold because the paths that we walk, because, you know, our 20s are mostly about, okay, figuring out who we are and hopefully finding love and maybe starting to have a family. Our 30s are really, you know, and this is just the traditional path. Everybody's got a different path, but our 30s are about nurturing and taking care of those kids and growing them up and making sure that they don't die, right? That's what that's about. And then something happens in our 40s, and see, the moms are laughing because they know that that's true. Every day you keep your child alive is a day that you win, you know? And I don't care if they're 2 months old or 25, you really celebrate the fact that they did not die today. And so because I did what I did, they're alive. That's what I really celebrate. When you get into your 40s and your 50s, what happens is your kids start to have their life. But we still are empowered with the creative force of God to bring forth life and to create. That's when I've seen women do amazing things. That's why we need a women's summit. That's why we need to go back to what they're saying and have us come together to remind everyone, men, women, children, everyone, that kindness is important, that harmony is important, that all those things that go along with the divine feminine, harmony, peace, nurturing, openness, evolution, expression, caring, these things are important. And if you look outside, what I can see in the outside world right now is that there's not an appreciation of that. There is not an appreciation of that. This is the manifestation of what has happened from years of denying the power of women. I think of mothers as warriors. They're warriors. They're mama lions that care for and support life as their children. So, when we look at everything that's been happening, you know, when I'm in class, with my students, I often teach that when something happens that we don't like, right? When there's a tragedy, when there's an event that happens personally or in the collective that we don't like, what we want to look at it from a perspective of seeing that it's a misuse of the law. Now, I avoid doing this on Sundays very often about teaching about the law because it's much more complicated than I really want to spend time on, and I want to get us to brunch. But this is what I'm doing today. So there's this law, right, of cause and effect. There's this law that we put our thoughts and our attention into, and it creates. And so what we put in, we get out. So when we put in a lopsided thought, we get out a lopsided experience. When we put in a balanced presence, a balanced way of thinking, we get a balanced experience. And so when we look at the collective, when we look at what's coming forward, what I would say is that this is a misuse of the law. And so all of the shootings, right, all of the problems we're having with mass shootings, with all of the challenges that we are having with the loss of civility in society, when we are separated as possible ideologically, and we're flinging at each other. When there's two sides or multiple sides and people are not being kind to one another, right? When you take that step back, what I try to have us do is look at what's trying to be born out of this, because something is. And even if it's a misuse of the law, some quality of the divine is trying to be born out of it. So what is it? When I look at what's been happening over the last couple of years, what's missing is that connection to the divine and to each other. This interconnected way of being in life. We have denied the divine feminine for so long, it is showing up. And what's trying to be born out of this is that presence of the divine feminine. Is that essence of understanding and of love. That powerful creative force that can take, I think of one of the magical powers of a mother is a mother who's got 2 kids. Now, I only have 1 at home, and so I don't have these skills. But if you have multiple children, oh my God, I honor you. Because you can take 2 children who want opposite things, and they can find a way to make it okay for everybody. Moms can do that. We get a mom in there with some Democrats and Republicans, there'd be a new immigration policy in 10 minutes, I'll tell you. She can make it happen. Right? So what's trying to be born out of this is the aspect of the divine, that powerful presence of God that nurtures and supports and loves freely and fully. And so on this Mother's Day, I have a reading. I have a couple of things here. I have a reading. I know I've done it before, but it speaks to the complexities that arise when we talk about mothering and mothers. And so just to make sure we honor all of it, I've got this one. Because this is how I think of it. This is how I think of walking through Mother's Day and supporting our women. To those who gave birth this year with their first child, we celebrate with you. To those who lost a child this year, we mourn with you. To those who are in the trenches with little ones every day and wear the badge of food stains and throw-up smells, we appreciate you. I can still smell it. Can you, I can still smell it. I can smell it. It's been years. She's 10, but I can still smell it on my shoulder. I can smell it. Okay. To those who, and I just got a big whiff of it. That's why I had to stop there. To those who experienced loss through miscarriage, failed adoptions, or running away, we mourn with you. To those who walk the hard path of infertility, fraught with pokes, prods, tears, and disappointment, we walk with you. Forgive us when we say foolish things. We don't mean to make this harder than it is. To those who are foster moms, mentor moms, and spiritual moms, we need you. To those who have warm and close relationships with your children, we celebrate with you. To those who have disappointment, heartache, and distance with your children, we sit with you. To those who have lost their mothers this year, we grieve with you. To those who experienced abuse at the hands of your own mother, we acknowledge your experience. To those who live through driving tests, medical tests, and the overall testing of motherhood, we are better for having you in our midst. To those who are single and long to be married and mothering your own children, we mourn that life has not turned out the way you longed for it to be. To those who step-parent, we walk with you on these complex paths. To those who envisioned lavishing love on grandchildren, yet that dream is not to be, we grieve with you. To those who will have emptier nests in the upcoming year, we grieve and rejoice with you. To those who place children up for adoption, we commend you for your selflessness and remember how you hold that child in your heart. And to those who are pregnant with new life, both expected and surprising, we anticipate with you. This Mother's Day, we walk with you. Mothering is not for the faint of heart, and we have real warriors in our midst. We remember you. And so we do. We are warriors. Mothers are warriors. And there's a part within each of us that is a mother. There's a part within each of us that is connected to that powerful, creative force of life that is the divine feminine. And I'm going to end here with, I have a quote from Yogananda that Paramahansa Yogananda, that I'm going to do one piece at a time here, I think. There you go. A mother's love is not given to us to spoil us with indulgence, but to soften our hearts, that we may in turn soften others with kindness. In India, we speak of God as Mother Divine. Every mother is a manifestation of God's unconditional love. Although human mothers can be imperfect, the Divine Mother is perfect. Mothers were created by God to show us that we are loved with or without cause. May all the sons and daughters of the world be filled with that motherly affection, which is the reflection of the Divine Mother's unconditional love. And may we give that unconditional motherly love to one another so that we have peace and heaven on earth. So on this Mother's Day, let us each embody that divine presence of the mother, that we can become channels of that divine love into the world. As we put our attention back on balance, as we put our attention back on that feminine energy, as we encourage ourselves as women to be comfortable with it, and we allow our men to realize that it's okay to be comfortable with your feminine side, you've got one. And the more balanced you can be, the more you can acknowledge that, the more balanced our experience in the world is going to be. It's important work for each of us to realize that we are the manifestation of Spirit, the Father, Mother, God. That presence, and we have that masculine, creative energy, and we have that divine, feminine, receptive presence within us. And as we acknowledge and allow that to find its balance, we can come forth, step forward in this life as that beautiful light of God, creating peace, creating love, and you know what? Creating heaven on earth. And that's what we're here to do. And so on this Mother's Day, let's create it. Happy Mother's Day.